Welcome everyone, this is Derek J. Speaks, and today we are covering WWE Elimination Chamber 2023 live from the Bell Center in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. The first WWE pay-per-view to be in the Bell Center in Montreal in over 15 years. And what a show for them to get on this particular night with one of the biggest, most anticipated WWE main events in recent memory, with hometown Montreal boy Sami Zayn challenging Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship in the main event. A fantastic story with Sami Zayn and the Bloodline these last few months, all leading into this big show, this big showdown with Sami and Roman. And unfortunately for Sami, he did not get the job done. And I know that did not sit well with a lot of people out there, but unfortunately those people just didn't realize this was always going to be the end result. Sure, it would have been beautiful, it would have been magical to see Sami Zayn get the big win in his hometown of Montreal and pull off the biggest upset over Roman Reigns heading into WrestleMania. Sami is super over. He is white hot as a babyface right now. He is one of the biggest stars in the entire company, and he is right thick in the middle of one of the greatest pieces of storytelling in the history of professional wrestling. So it would have been very nice if Sami could have gotten the win here, but that's not what happened. But that does not mean this story is over. Far from it. This story is very much still alive and well, and there is still many more layers to peel back as we head into WrestleMania. But on this show, the match that we did get with Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns was a lot of fun. Thanks in part, Roman and Sami did their thing. Roman is just a master at this. His facial expressions, his movements, everything he does is so intentional, it's so crisp, and it is perfect. Sami was an absolute star in this match. This was easily the biggest match of his entire career, and he went out there and he worked his ass off to help make this story work. But you also have the third element of what made this match so great, and that is the fantastic crowd in Montreal. Of course, you knew they were going to go crazy for Sami Zayn, which they did. The entire match, they were firmly in the corner of Sami Zayn and were firmly against Roman Reigns. It's crazy to think, because Roman is the top heel. He has been the top heel in the entire company for the last several years. But up to this point, Roman has not ever received this level of hatred from the crowd in this tribal chief role that he did on this show, to the point where he, on several occasions throughout the match, received "fuck you Roman" chants, which was crazy. But Roman is the heel. He is the evil villain in this story. So it works. This ain't a couple of years ago when they were trying to push babyface Roman Reigns. That babyface Roman Reigns, him getting "fuck you Roman" chants in Montreal, that would have been believable. But on this show, him getting it here, it fits the story that's being told. These people were clamoring to see Sami Zayn win this match. They were going crazy throughout this entire match. Before the match even started, they were going crazy. After the guys had their entrance and the ring announcer did the entrances and all that, the bell rang and they stood there just facing off with each other. They barely even moved for like the first 4 minutes of the entire match. Not a single movement was had between either man, and the fans were going crazy, chanting "Ole Ole" and chanting "fuck you Roman." They were going crazy for these guys. And then they went out there and they had a great match. Sami Zayn, his family was there. His wife was in the front row. She played a part at different points of this match. Roman Reigns, of course, he is the evil dick. So, of course, he went over and antagonized her at different points when he was talking shit to the crowd, and he was talking shit to her, saying that this was all Sami's fault. And of course, Sami, he, got fired up, and he went over and kissed his wife at one point. They cut back to her at several points throughout the match, and she was on the edge of her seat. And quite frankly, a lot of her reactions matched mine. So she was great here too. But these two, honestly, it was not anything over the top, like a 5-star instant classic. Because if you take the fan reaction out, this is just a very basic match for the championship with a lot of bells and whistles, especially with all the interference at the end and the ref bumps and all that crazy shit. But because you had this crowd so invested in these two men, in this story that has been playing out for months, you saw it in the video package. This story has been playing out since April of last year. So the investment that the fans have had in this storyline and in Sami Zayn as a character and in the Roman Reigns character too, for that matter, the fact that they were reacting as vociferously as they were in this match helped elevate the match to an even greater level. But that doesn't take anything away from the actual action that these two guys were putting in, because they did a great job. But of course, it did have all the big bells and whistles, as I mentioned, including a ref bump. The first time a referee got bumped in this match, he went down, and out came Jimmy Uso. Of course, both Usos were given orders the previous week on SmackDown that stated they could not be on this show. They were not allowed to be in Montreal, but of course they made their way here anyway. And Jimmy Uso was here first, and he came out, delivered a barrage of super kicks to Sami Zayn, even hit him with an Uso splash, and that made for a very close near fall when the second referee came out. And so Sami and Roman started to fight a little bit more. Eventually, that second referee that came out, he also got bumped. So he went down, and then Paul Heyman went underneath the ring to retrieve a steel chair, and he handed it to his tribal chief, only for Jey Uso to appear from out of nowhere. I assume he came from the crowd. I'm not sure where else he would have come from, but he gets in the ring, and he goes face to face with Roman Reigns. And Roman is in disbelief to see him, but he hands Jey Uso the chair, and Jey is reluctant to take it. He looks so conflicted and upset, but he does take the chair. And we had an almost identical scene here that we did at the Rumble, because Roman turns his back to Jey. He leans down to talk shit and kind of get more antagonizing on Sami Zayn. But there's Jey Uso standing right behind Roman Reigns with the steel chair. But eventually Roman gets back up and he turns around to Jey Uso. The two of them are going face to face. Roman starts pie facing Jey. Again, very similar to what Roman did with Sami Zayn at the end of the Rumble pay-per-view. The fans, you could tell it felt like they were ready to see Jey pull off the swerve. A lot of people have been predicting that Jey was going to do the swerve here and he was going to lay out Sami Zayn. But as this went on, it looked very clearly that was not going to happen. And that is not what happened. Instead, Sami Zayn got back up. He went charging at Roman, intending to hit Roman with a spear. But instead, Roman sidestepped him and Sami accidentally speared Jey. So he takes down Jey Uso with the spear on accident. But now, with Sami down, Roman gets that steel chair and just waylays Sami in the back. He starts to beat down Sami Zayn with the steel chair. He hits a spear, and the original referee gets back in and counts the 1, 2, 3. And you could feel the crowd completely deflate. And it's understandable. Even if every single person in that building knew Sami did not have a chance in hell of winning this match, they were along for the ride. They were cheering their boy. They were into the story. And when you see the villain get the upper hand like Roman did here, it is deflating. And I can understand it. It did feel flat in that regard. It felt a little flat only because that was not the way that I saw this match ending. For the past several weeks, ever since that ending to the Rumble pay-per-view, I have been predicting that Jey Uso, he's going to be conflicted all these weeks. But then by the time we get to Elimination Chamber, he's going to pull the trigger, he's going to side with his family, and he's going to break everyone's hearts, including Sami, and that's going to be it. But that's not what happened here. Jey Uso is still in this state of inner conflict with himself and where he stands with the bloodline, with Roman, with Sami Zayn. So that's very interesting that they did not go in that direction with Jey on this pay-per-view. But there's still plenty of time. They showed a graphic earlier. There is 42 days left until WrestleMania. There is plenty of time for this story to continue to play itself out. Because while many people have been so fixated on Sami Zayn as the foundation and the focus of this story, when you really look at it, now the story can shift to focusing more on Jey Uso. Sami Zayn is still there. Don't think that him losing here, that subtracts him from the story now and it's no longer about him. Yes, Roman Reigns will move on and he's going to put his focus on Cody Rhodes now, the man who won the Royal Rumble. But Sami Zayn and the Bloodline, this story is still firmly in the forefront here. At least on SmackDown, it is still very much the focus here. And now there's an even bigger layer here. Because after the match was over, Jimmy Uso starts to put the beat down on Sami Zayn. And who shows up but the other big hometown hero, Kevin Owens, who makes his first appearance on WWE television since the Royal Rumble. He comes out there and saves Sami Zayn. He beats down Jimmy Uso. He hits a stunner on Roman Reigns. He hits a stunner on Jimmy Uso. He takes Jimmy to the outside, gives him a pop-up powerbomb through the announce table. Owens gets the steel chair, and it looks like he's going to go after Roman. But then Paul Heyman comes in and starts delivering some weak hits and punches to Kevin Owens' back. And Owens turns around, gives him a quick look, and then lays him out with a stunner as well. And then we get this scene here. We get this shot of Roman kind of staggering back up in one corner. Kevin Owens is right in the middle of the ring. And Sami Zayn is on the farthest end corner. And he's kind of getting his bearings about himself too and getting back up. And Kevin Owens, he looks around. He understands his surroundings. And then he steps aside and paves the way for Sami Zayn to come charging at Roman Reigns with the haluva kick. And this was also a little bit of a swerve here too, because in my mind, my prediction was that we would get somewhat of a reuniting of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn on this show. We didn't necessarily get that. Kevin Owens did come out. He did make his return. He did help Sami from getting beat down too badly from the Bloodline, and he got his pound of flesh. He got a little bit of revenge on Jimmy Uso and Roman Reigns after what they did to him. It was interesting that there was no Solo Sikoa on this show. We had both Usos, but no Solo. I don't know why Solo Sikoa wasn't on this show, but I guess it wasn't pivotal for him to be here, but oh well. But we did not get as much of a clear-cut reuniting of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn on this show, which, again, I'm fine with. Again, we have several weeks left until WrestleMania. There is many more weeks left to come for this story to be told, and it makes sense. Yes, Sami Zayn prevented Roman Reigns from delivering a final blow to him with the chair at the Royal Rumble. Sami Zayn refused to hit Kevin Owens with the chair at the Royal Rumble. But that does not erase all of the shit that these two have been through in these last several months. So there is still some reconciliation to be done here. But all roads point to Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens reuniting, teaming up to take on the Usos for their undisputed tag team titles at WrestleMania. I know people might not be overly thrilled with that. They were really wanting Sami Zayn to find his way into that WrestleMania main event, but it's fine that it's not happening. This was the biggest match of Sami Zayn's career. This was the biggest shot at the World Championship that Sami has ever gotten and probably ever will get. Do I think that there is a possibility that one day Sami Zayn can be the WWE champion? Yes, I do. especially once they split those championships up. He could be a WWE or Universal Champion easily someday. Will it be as emotional, or will the crowd be as emotionally invested in that story like they were on this particular show? Maybe yes, maybe no. We don't know. But on this particular night, I know everything was built up to be this crowning moment for Sami Zayn, but that is not the story to tell with Sami or Roman right now. We are this close to WrestleMania. Roman Reigns has been champion for over 900 days. He's approaching 1,000 if he makes it past WrestleMania. You can't take the championship off of Roman right now. Even if there was some way to split the championships, the time to do that passed. We're long past that point. You can't do that. You can't beat Roman Reigns right now before WrestleMania. You just can't do that. We are this close to WrestleMania right now. We're a month or so away. You can't beat Roman Reigns right now. So you do this big match, you have this big moment for Sami Zayn, and you put a little wrinkle in the story and you pivot in a different direction. The story does not have to be Sami Zayn being the one to beat Roman Reigns. The story needs to be Roman Reigns, or I should say Sami Zayn, excommunicating himself from the bloodline and the bloodline screwing him over, with the two main culprits being Jimmy and Jey Uso. The story really at its core is with Sami and Jey Uso. And to see that story pay itself off at WrestleMania with Sami and Kevin Owens being the ones to beat the Usos for those tag team titles, that's the direction to go in. So I am still very much thrilled and satisfied with the direction they went in on this show. And I look forward to seeing where this story goes over these next few weeks on SmackDown, on Raw, all the way leading up to WrestleMania. It should be very fun. But this was the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view after all, so of course we had some Elimination Chamber matches. And the two chamber matches that we got on this show were both very, very fun matches. We had one for the women, where the winner would receive a Raw Women's Championship match against Bianca Belair at WrestleMania. And we had one chamber match for the men for the United States Championship. Both matches were very damn good. I would give the slight edge to the men's match being the better, more fun, action-filled match. But the women killed it too. Especially those closing moments, like the last 5 or so moments of that women's match were really fun, really exciting, but both chamber matches killed it. I thought for the women, in their case, that was probably the best women's chamber match that we've gotten up to this point. I can't really think of anything memorable about any of the previous ones that we've gotten before this one. The men's, it's not going to go down as one of the best chamber matches of all time, but it will go down as one of the better ones. And there was some very creative, innovative spots in that match. And we had very predictable winners of both matches. In the case of the women, Asuka was the one to get the win. She outlasted Carmella, Nikki Cross, Liv Morgan, Natalya, and Raquel Rodriguez. It came down to Asuka and Carmella, and in the end, she made Carmella tap out, and she got the win. And that was the right outcome. It was the predictable one, but it was still the right one, because Asuka and Bianca Belair is the match to do at WrestleMania. That is the proper match to do at WrestleMania. I was pushing for Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley for WrestleMania. I was pushing for Rhea to win the Rumble and choose Bianca for her opponent at WrestleMania, but they went in the direction of Rhea challenging Charlotte. And so we're going to start to see that build up heading into WrestleMania now coming out of this show. But, okay, no Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. So who's the next best opponent for Bianca Belair? It's Asuka. Asuka just came back at the Rumble. She has the murder clown gimmick going on now. It's not entirely different from the Asuka we've seen, but she has been an ass kicker on TV. She's been winning all of her matches, and she's been very dominant. So to see this Asuka go up against Bianca Belair at WrestleMania is going to be a lot of fun. As for the women's chamber match, like I said, very fun. Everyone had their own chance to shine in this match. Asuka winning, while predictable, was still the correct outcome. As for the men, United States Championship, Austin Theory defending his title against Seth Rollins, Johnny Gargano, Bronson Reed, Damian Priest, and Montez Ford. This was a great match. There was some close calls in this match. There were some points in this match where it looked like something very bad was going to happen, especially somebody like Johnny Gargano. He had some pretty close calls in this match, almost landing on his head, directly onto his head at different points in this match. But we had some really cool spots in this one. One of the best ones being, there was a point where both Johnny Gargano and Seth Rollins were just sitting on top of a pod, just chilling. And then they looked over at each other. Then they started to brawl with each other. And Seth was looking to powerbomb Gargano off the top of the pod down onto a pile of guys down there. But Gargano, midway through, reversed it. And he turned it into a head scissors Hurricane Rana. And he Rana'd Rollins off of the pod. Gargano came down too. So they both came crashing down. They came crashing down onto everyone. Everyone had their time to shine here. Damian Priest, he looked pretty legit in there. Bronson Reed, this dude is legit. He is a beast, and he was definitely a highlight in this match. It took 3 different people and their finishers to beat him and finish him off here. I didn't really love seeing him get pinned. I thought it was a little too early to see him get pinned, but he was a force of nature in this match. And if he wasn't going to win, they treated him as well as they possibly could have, making him look like an unstoppable killing machine, only to be stopped by 3 different finishing moves. It could have been 4 or more, but it took a lot to take him down, and that's the way to do it. Montez Ford was probably one of the big breakouts in this match. Johnny Gargano, I'll give him his props too. He got some nice spots here, but Montez Ford was easily one of the big highlights of this match. At one point, Ford climbed the side of the chamber wall, and he made his way up onto the ceiling. And it's very hard to describe exactly what he did, but with the way his body was, he basically flipped over and repositioned himself to be vertical. And then he just splatted down and crashed down onto a bunch of guys on the floor. My words don't do it justice. This was an excellent spot here, and the crowd went crazy for it. Montez Ford was incredible in this match. And even his elimination was a very key part of the match. He got stomped by Seth Rollins on the chamber floor and got pinned and eliminated. And so it came down to Rollins and Austin Theory. However, Montez Ford was still out there, and the referee was checking on him. The referee threw up the X sign and was calling for help to get in the ring to help out Montez Ford. And I'm thinking, Ford's good. He's good. I mean, he ain't that good at acting. So clearly something is being done here. And they're trying to get this chamber open. That was my, of course, like the instant thought is, okay, he might be legitimately hurt. That was a pretty gnarly stomp, but it didn't look that crazy. So then once the referee called for people to come down, and it's like they need an excuse to open up the chamber. And they did. So the referees came in, they helped out Montez Ford, they helped him out of the chamber. He received a standing ovation, very nice. But the chamber was still open. And that paved the way for a run-in from Logan Paul. So as Seth Rollins was setting up for the stomp on Austin Theory, Logan Paul makes his way in. He hits his very nice-looking buckshot lariat. He hits it on Seth Rollins. And he lays him out, and while Rollins is down, Logan Paul also hit him with a stomp. And so that laid out Seth Rollins. Paul got out of the ring, and then Austin Theory hit him with the A-Town down, and he retained his United States Championship. So if the elimination at the Rumble was not enough, Rollins talking all that shit about Logan Paul the previous week on Raw was probably very convincing to show you that this was going to be the direction heading into WrestleMania. And now this pretty much seals it up. Logan Paul versus Seth Rollins is going to be the big match at WrestleMania. That's a nice marquee match for Seth Rollins to have. With the limited amount of matches we've seen Logan Paul in up to this point, he has been very good in all these matches. So to see him go up against Seth Rollins should be very fun. And more importantly than all of that, they are getting it right with Logan Paul. He is coming off as an egotistical douchebag heel. That is exactly how you need to present Logan Paul. Rollins is getting on Logan Paul about not caring about wrestling, not caring about this business. He just wants to be famous. He's just caring about the likes and the hits and the viral moments and all that kind of stuff. And this here plays into that because this is technically a viral moment here of Logan Paul costing Seth Rollins the United States Championship here. So all of that plays into it. And so that is the right role for Logan Paul to play. No one wants to cheer for Logan Paul. We learned that in the build-up to the match with Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel last year. And while they had a really good match, no one bought into Logan Paul as this underdog babyface to root for. You look at the guy and his personality, and it's just tailor-made to be a hateable heel. And the people love themselves some Seth Rollins. So it works. And so I thought that was great, and I think they should have a very good match come WrestleMania. As for a lot of the losers of these chamber matches, what's going to be their directions heading into WrestleMania, I'm not sure. Austin Theory, I think, if the rumors are true, he could be in line for a U.S. Championship match against John Cena. Or at least a match against John Cena, but since he's still the champion, I would assume it would be for the U.S. title. We'll see. Everyone else in the men's match, I'm not really sure, but at least for the women, I think all of them women who lost, you can probably find them all in random pairs of teams and be put in some random women's tag team championship match at WrestleMania. So that takes care of all of them. And then the undercard of this show, we had Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. Number 3, this match was not really anything special. Honestly, this match was no different than a lot of those matches with Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, where they're just spamming their finishers. A bunch of F5s and kickouts, spears and kickouts. And in this case with Lashley, him trying to lock in the Hurt Lock, which he did get in, but then Brock Lesnar kicked from behind and low-blowed Bobby Lashley to break the hold. And the referee had no choice but to call for the bell and awarded the victory to Bobby Lashley via disqualification. Very flat, lame finish, but it was expected. I did not expect there to be a decisive winner coming out of this match because I thought that there'd be some kind of no contest or DQ or something like that to set up a final match between these two at WrestleMania. That plan is technically still viable, but now it's been shaken up a little bit because just 24 hours before this show on SmackDown, Bray Wyatt made an appearance on the show and he called out Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. And he said the winner of that match should run, basically implying that whoever walks out the winner of the Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley match, Bray Wyatt's coming after them. Well, Bobby Lashley technically did win here. He won by DQ, but this is clearly not over with Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. And I can't see them blowing it off on Raw or SmackDown or something like that. So you have to assume it's going to lead to a final match at WrestleMania. But now where does Bray Wyatt fit in? It's very random. Bray Wyatt has had absolutely nothing to do with Brock Lesnar or Bobby Lashley up to this point. I have no idea what his motivation is for getting involved here. But Bray Wyatt has now inserted himself into this situation. So we could be setting up for a triple threat match. Otherwise, I have no idea what you do with any of these three. If it's Bray versus Brock, what do you do with Bobby Lashley? If it's Bray versus Bobby, what do you do with Brock Lesnar? There has to be a role for these guys at WrestleMania. Bobby Lashley is one of your top babyfaces on the show. At least I think he is. I don't know if he's still a babyface or not. He might have turned heel out of nowhere. I have no idea. Brock Lesnar is still one of the big marquee attractions on this show. You're going to have a spot for him at WrestleMania. You have 2 nights of WrestleMania. There's going to be a spot for Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. And Bray Wyatt for that matter. Still one of the top stars on SmackDown despite not doing shit on SmackDown. So you have to expect there's going to be some big match for these guys. And I can't really think of anything else for them to do other than just cramming them all into one triple threat match. So that could be the direction. And then also on the show, we had a mixed tag team match with Edge and Beth Phoenix taking on Rhea Ripley and Finn Balor. Roman Reigns was not the only one to get fuck you chants on this show. Dominic Mysterio also received fuck you Dominic chants from this crowd, which was awesome. Dominic, man, he has really grown into this little slimy shit heel character, and it's great to see. The match itself was fun. There was one botch. There was a moment where Dom had thrown some brass knucks to Rhea Ripley. She used it on Edge, and Balor covered Edge. And the idea was that Beth Phoenix would get there in time to break the cover, and the referee it would only be a 2 count. Unfortunately, Beth didn't get there on time, and the referee had to hold up his count. It was very plain as day obvious. So whether they intended to or not, we did get a Montreal screwjob on this show. Especially since Edge and Beth Phoenix went on to win the match. You can lay claim that they were screwed over here. So I doubt they're going to go with that. But we did technically get a Montreal screwjob on this show. But yes, Edge and Beth Phoenix did get the win. I was shocked at that. Even more so shocked that they won hitting a shatter machine on Finn Balor, otherwise known as the Big Rig from FTR in AEW. But this was one of a few references to the Revival during this match. Of course, we know there is a connection with Edge and the members of the Revival. He has a relationship with the 2 of them. He has trained with them. I think he even was the main cheerleader for these guys to get a shot in WWE in the first place. So there's a connection there. But it just so happens to be all at a time when FTR are in the middle of this whole contract situation with AEW, and we don't know what their future holds. So I just think that was very interesting timing for that. But yes, Edge and Beth Phoenix did get the win here. Rhea Ripley really shouldn't be I know she didn't get pinned, but she really shouldn't be losing heading into WrestleMania. So what could be an interesting direction to go in is if Rhea beats Charlotte at WrestleMania, maybe coming out of WrestleMania, you want a big opponent and a big name for Rhea to beat, you could pair up her and Beth Phoenix. The interaction with Beth and Rhea in this match was very good. So much so that I would not mind seeing a singles match between the 2 of them at some point. You could easily point to this match like, hey, I beat you before WrestleMania. Now you're champion. I want a shot. And we could, coming out of WrestleMania, get a championship match on pay-per-view with Rhea and Beth Phoenix. And that could give Rhea Ripley a nice big win over a big name, a Hall of Famer. As for Edge and Finn Balor, there was rumors of the 2 of them having a Hell in a Cell match. I have no interest in that now. Edge already beat him. So, I mean, maybe they could still set it up and it can make sense. I don't see it happening, but we'll see. And that's it for the show. Overall, this was a very fun show. The low light, of course, being the Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley stuff. But other than that, everything else on the show I really liked. The mixed tag was good. The women's chamber was good. And then it got really great at the end. The men's chamber match was really great pretty much all throughout. And that main event and that whole story with Sami and the Bloodline still going on, still going strong. It's great stuff. And this was the last stop before WrestleMania. We are full speed ahead. We got some little snippets of little Hollywood movie spoof trailers with some of the wrestlers. We had one with Seth Rollins imitating Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. And Becky Lynch was talking with the Christian Bale Batman voice for whatever reason. I don't know. But I guess it was supposed to be a reference to the fact that she is the man and now she is Batman, the Batman, whatever. It was okay. The Rollins stuff with the Joker stuff was fine, but then once Becky came in and started talking with the Batman voice, it got lame. But other than that, I thought it was fun, cute. And they showed a couple more that we might see in the next coming weeks. So, fun stuff here. Overall, very good show, and it does get me excited for WrestleMania as we approach it. So, that is it for me. I hope you all enjoyed listening to this review. And if you did, go ahead and leave a like on this video. Comment down below your thoughts on the show. And subscribe to the channel. And follow me on Twitter at DerekJSpeaks. And stay updated on my schedule, because in the next few weeks, I will be posting a review for AEW's next big pay-per-view, Revolution, coming next month. I believe it's March 6th. Either March 5th or March 6th. One of those two. So, until then, take care, all of you. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your night, your afternoon, morning, whatever it is, whenever time you're listening to this. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you very much for listening. Appreciate you always. Take care.